Hello, good evening, and welcome to ExtraTyne. God, I sound really bunged up there, didn't I? I've got my honey rum. Don't worry, we'll get us through. I've got my honey rum and my strepsils. We'll get through this together. So, welcome to Friday night ExtraTyne with me, Roger, and joining us as always is Laura. Good evening, Laura. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
That was very posh.
Very posh indeed. Right. Okay. So, Laura. End of half term, it's a sad time for all teachers out there.
It is.
How are you coping with the fact that you've got to go back to work on Monday?
I'm trying not to think of it till Sunday, so I'm putting it to the back of my mind. Everything. I'm sorted for Monday. I know what I'm doing, so very organised.
Yeah, obviously, that's in case any.
What were you going to say there? You're teaching. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Teaching.
Yeah.
In case any kids are watching, your fellow teachers, So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us live on the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. Remember to like and subscribe as always, and share with a friend. Why not? Knock on your neighbour's door and tell them what's going on. And also thanks to those people who join us later on and watch. On the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel later on. Really, really great if people can continue to subscribe. Really helps us out. And of course, you can get memberships as well, which are really good. You can get a $2.99 membership. I think there's a £4.99 one. I think you get some extra bits and bats, but I don't really know all the technical information. Yeah, bits and bats. Yeah. No bits and bats. Well,
we're not getting into that.
We're getting into Bagsies and Bogsies. We'll come on to Bagsies and Bogsies later, and we'll come on to pronunciations of players' names, which I'm sure we'll have some fun with later on. But so it's been, well, I suppose in context of the last few weeks, I would say it's been fairly uneventful. Would you agree, Laura?
Yeah. I didn't know what we were going to talk about, to be honest, until the Twitter topic, because it has been pretty, in Newcastle terms, but boring, really. Nothing's happened.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been the inevitable links to different managers. Today, the latest one is John Terry. John Terry's betting odds went down from the 60s down to 9-1 or 6-1 at some point. So I suppose I might as well quickly chat about that. Laura, John Terry.
Not having it. Don't want him anywhere near it.
No,
not having it.
No, yeah. I don't know, like, I read a well, just hear us out, right? I read a few tweets, and like, if we need somebody who's like maybe have an impact on the players,
I've seen that tweet as well. Yeah,
would our players relate to John Terry a bit more? With it, he's an iconic figure in English football. So
I think the English players would. Yeah, I think like in terms of just having it, like you say, like if we're going to talk about it, let's be like, what's that word? Balanced.
Yes.
Thanks.
Play devil's advocate.
That's it. So if we're going to talk about the pros, the English players would, I guess, listen to him, have respect for him, totally listen to what he had on board. But in terms of what we need, would he keep up in terms of the football, the tactics, all that jazz? Maybe bring him in as like a Graeme Jones came in type thing too.
An interim.
Yeah, kind of like but I don't want him as manager. That's a lot of pressure. That's put us off.
Oh, Rich. Well, don't worry, Rich. I mean, Rich has pretty much provided.
He has provided half an hour
for the rest of the evening. So thank you very much, Rich, for passing that on to us later before they're on Twitter. So yeah, John Terry. I mean, he's got no experience, but playing devil's advocate, maybe he could
bring him in as like a dressing room, like a
like a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then just keep all the players' wives away from him, because he's quite the swordsman. So I gather.
Yeah, and watch out in Marks. On Northumberland Street, because isn't he a shoplifter as well?
Oh, he is a shop. Oh no, kind of have him. Right. Okay, so that's John Terry done. We needed to just get that out of the way. It doesn't matter about chronology, Laura. We just need to get the John Terry thing out of the way. Right. So, well, Rich has said, "Fuck off with the John Terry shite straight away."
Right, straight in there,
Sorry.
Rich.
Well, we've got out of the way, Rich. Right.
I mention it.
Yeah. Now, today's topic was kindly provided by Clark, one of the Gallagher Shots team. He does all of the graphics and all of the designs. Any of those amazing designs you see on Instagram or Twitter, they're usually responsible. The man responsible for those is Clark. He's an excellent graphic designer. And he came up with a topic today about the horror shows. I was going to do something about David Ginola, but this was a much better idea, trust us. So we've had some really good responses. Laura and I have been going through them on Instagram and Twitter. But if you want to join in, obviously we'll try and get to as many of the comments as possible. I've already seen a couple about Paul Stimson, possibly, from Tom Lynch going back. Mark Stimson's Howl having an own goal away at Oxford. I'm sure, Laura, you remember that one in 1991.
I was 2, so
yeah.
no.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Laura, you don't remember stuff from 3 weeks ago, so like, as if you'd remember something.
I can't remember who we played last week.
Crystal Palace.
Oh yeah, we got a point.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, absolutely rocking it. Right, so this week's topic was horror shows. Now, we did start off with just being at St James's Park, but actually it's kind of grown legs and it's become a monster, well, which is quite appropriate because it is Halloween after all. So we've got some real great ones to go through, which we'll come to just in a moment. Very quickly though, obviously the new man at the helm, Graeme Jones, he's got his second game in charge against Chelsea this weekend, and he did his press conference. Laura, we always like to talk about these pressers. Usually there's an eye roll, there's a bacon mention, there's maybe a huff going on, or you calling me a liar. What did you make of Graeme Jones today? How did he do? What do you think?
It's just so refreshing to listen to a guy who knows what he's talking about and is just so humble and nice and not bitter. I mean, he just speaks so well compared to what we used to.
Yeah.
I mean, that quote about making the team united and healthy, I think he used the word, for the next guy coming in. I mean, wow, how nice is that, and gracious and professional compared to like Bruce, who would have done the complete opposite and did make it an absolute shit show for the next person coming in. I just think he just speaks very professional, but I did like there was a dig, even though it wasn't like a nasty dig. It was just about the 5 days training and how
and who teed him up for it, Laura? Who teed him up for us?
Was it Ryder?
No, it was Hope.
No.
Craig,
it was
Craig
Hope.
Hope.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Craig Hope teed him up beautifully for it.
Did he? And he said about doing the maths and stuff and better performance, and I just really like that. And oh yeah, sorry, you can't do that when I'm talking because then I start to read.
All right, I'll put them up.
No, and I just, when he said it was simple maths, I just like that sly dig. But no, he just speaks so well, and I just really think it said that he was going to definitely be at the club in some sort of capacity when the new guy comes in. So I'm really glad about that because I think he's such a nice man and everybody likes him and he comes across really well and the players seem to like him. So I think that's a definite positive. But yeah, just really like strange to talk about a press conference being not controversial and just
and I think he struck the balance, which is where Bruce failed a lot of the time by praising, Chelsea. Obviously, it's not undeniable that they're an excellent side, European champions, but also, he didn't sort of downplay us. He said that things have to go our way, like we need the fans behind us, all that sort of thing. But he was definitely a more positive tone, Laura. Definitely much more positive. So
I like how you said my name there because he likes to do that as well, doesn't he? He says,
did you notice that? Yes, because he was like, yes, Keith.
Yes, Keith.
Like, yes,
when he did,
yes, Simon. Yes, you're right. How are you? How's the kids? How's
so personal.
Man.
I really like it.
So, I mean, obviously, like we said, it's easy following Bruce in these circumstances, but I think he talks a good game. So, hopefully.
But that just shows how we are totally bigging him up just because of the words he said.
Yeah.
Bruce could have easily had that, but he couldn't contain his anger and his bitterness and his digs, his dignity that he wanted to have.
Yeah, definitely. So, it looks like he did. Obviously, I think one of the first questions was the team for the game tomorrow at 3:00. Looks like Dubravka's sort of back in contention, although they have had Darlow in front of the cameras a lot this week, so maybe indicates that maybe Dubravka's possibly not ready.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, he hasn't played an under-23 game. He hasn't sort of. I think for a keeper, playing such a big side, I think we need somebody who's sort of match fit, up to speed. So for me personally, I don't know about yourself, Laura, but I would probably keep Darlow in goal, despite the
Yes.
fact that obviously
I did the
Dubravka
opposite. I wrote
is
Dubravka
much,
down.
yeah. I think, I think it's probably coming back to what we said about Woodman at the start of the season. Like, I called that one wrong as well. So what do I know? I think I said that I would keep Woodman in, and Darlow came in and he's performed well. So what would you go with? Would you go with Dubravka?
Yeah, I would. I just think he's when I thought you were going to talk about the captain, I thought I was going to say that I would give Dubravka the captaincy and just put him in straight away. Drop I don't want to say his name. Drop the Lascelles and put
Look, listen, we did it, Laura, right? We did a Toon polls on this, right? It's Lascelles. Can we just say it? Lascelles.
Lascelles.
Lascelles. There you go.
But it just reminds us of Matt Cells, so I just say Lascelles.
All right, then. Okay. Well, we'll accept it. That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, but no, I would
Get
put
over it.
Dubravka straight back in there. Just
Yeah.
I think he's more dominating and more vocal, and I just would. I get what you're saying about being match fit and maybe having a run of games in the under 23s, but me personally, I'd just whack Dubravka straight back in there.
Yeah. I think as well, it gives the defence a little bit more confidence because, like you're saying, he is a bit more dominant. He seems a bit more vocal. But let's not forget, before he got injured, he was playing in the Euros, and he had a bit of a nightmare at the Euros.
Yeah,
his last few games, I think he hired a couple in, but who knows? I mean, he came in when he first signed for against Man United, one of the biggest games of the season. He was absolutely outstanding.
Amazing game.
He's obviously got in his lock. He's great. I mean, he is a great keeper. He's probably one of the best keepers we've had in the last 10, 15 years, I would say. So, as well, I think obviously John Joe Shelby comes back into contention.
Yeah, my dad said that. I didn't realise that he was available again.
I think it's just a one-game ban for stupidity. I think that's just.
And do you think, just judging from what you said before, because he's played a few games for under 23s, do you think Jones is thinking put him straight back in?
I think so. I think he does. I mean, I'm not a massive John Joe Shelby fan, but I do think he does when he's on his game, which isn't that often. But these big occasions, he does sometimes rise to it. So I would be tempted to put him back in because of the.
See, I haven't when I've picked my 11, but then now that you're saying that, I'm kind of tempted to sway because I do agree that, and I do think he'll want to fight for his position with the new manager, whoever that may be. And I do think when there's a point to prove, he'll prove it essentially.
Yeah. I suppose coming back to the new manager, I mean, we're kind of backtracking a little bit, but
I don't like that. I like chronology.
Oh, I'm sorry, but we're just going. It's Friday. We're just going back and forth.
Winging it. I'm fine with that.
So, in Jones's pre-game press conference, he did sort of give a little indication. I think that he knew who the new manager was going to be. He was he did say that he knows that he's going to be at Newcastle in some capacity, because obviously I would imagine all the Steves will go. They'll all be paid up, and then so that then starts the rumor mill. Oh, well, it must be Martinez then, because that was his number 2 for Belgium for a period of time, and for could it mean that Roberto Martinez is coming in possibly? But I suppose it's like it's like a vacuum of information, isn't it? So we're all speculating on who it could be. So I think one of the journalists had latched onto that, but nobody really pushed him on it in the press conference. So maybe it's but I think he knows who the next manager is.
I mean, it was said through the week that Fonseca's a no, isn't it? So I think we've moved on from that. So now I did so much research on Fonseca that I'm absolutely screwed because I haven't got a clue now.
No, but knowledge is power, Laura. Knowledge is power.
Yeah, no, I don't have that.
Next time he takes a team against us in some capacity, then you'll be like, well, this is how Fonseca plays. And then your knowledge comes into it. So don't worry about it. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
When we're going to play Fonseca?
I don't know. He might take over, I don't know, Watford when they sack Ranieri. I don't know.
Manu.
Oh, well, did you see Danny Mills?
Mm.
Oh, that was absolute genius. So I'll just go to a few of the comments really quickly. I do try and get through as many as I possibly can, but I'm trying to multitask here. Obviously, Rich is telling us to F off with the John Terry shite. And Geordie 2 for life. Terry's been number 2 filler for over 2 years, so he's got experience as a number 2, but could he step up? Unai Emery has come in from favourite with a few bookies. Terrific CV apart from Arsenal. Cups galore. That sounds good to me. Dan is Laura. Do you want to just say that name at the front there?
Yeah. I think I'm right in saying it's Kasaba.
Kasaba, yes. Well done, nice one. See, we prepared that one before the show, so yeah. Just a little preview there of someone. I mean, Kasaba was on the tip of everybody's tongue when we put this topic out.
Tip of the tongue. It's a proper struggle to say that loud. Wow.
So I think, Rich, do you think Graeme Jones not being Steve Bruce helps at all? I think it really does. Hello to Julie. Hi to Tom. Dubravka thinks should come back in. Sean Fernandez in for Lascelles and Clark. I do think, Sean needs to come back in. I do think Fernandez needs to come back in.
It's a big call to drop Lascelles. I said it, Lascelles.
Yes, it's a big moment.
Yeah. I do think it is a big call.
But I think Dan makes a really good point about Clark being the only left-sided centre back that we've got. So I do think that's that is an argument for him being included. But the thing is with Clark, you know what you're going to get, but as the years go on, he gets
it's a struggle.
Less and less effective. So let's see who else we've got. We've got Peter. They all need to be vocal. We've got Marty's joined us. He's saying hi to Julie, but not to us. But we'll not hold that against you, Marty. Shelby, Hayden, and Willock may let Willock have some more attacking freedom. Is it the way to go and attack Chelsea, or would Shelby, Hayden, and Longstaff make a bit more sense to start with maybe Willock to come on later?
Well, when I was choosing who I would like to play, I had went with Longstaff, Willock, Hayden, and Mickey, and I'd went for a back 4. But then I read, that Twitter account that's really good, and I can't remember what it's called, and it gives a rundown of how we'll beat the next team tactically. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, but it's really good. And I read that. And I read that thread, and he said, and I trust his judgment more than mine, that back 5's the best way to beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
But I would have thought, because they're so strong to have in our midfield, is so shocking to have more players in midfield than at the back to make it more compact.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
I think there's an argument for 4-5-1 or 5-4-1. I think we're going to have to soak it up at some point. We're going to have to be disciplined, and then we'll have hopefully got pace on the attack, on the counter attack. I think it's going to be that type of game. But I don't know. I have got a feeling about this week. I know every week I say 2-1, but I think all week I've had a feeling I really do think it's not just a foregone conclusion that we're going to get beat. I think obviously they're an outstanding side, but they're missing Lukaku, who plays up. I know he hadn't scored for a while, but Pulisic isn't back in time, and Kovacic isn't playing either. He's one of the strong midfielders. But obviously they've got Kante, they've got Mount.
I know, but I love that because, and I know Jess had said it in the group chat, and it was on Twitter, and then it was yes, but they scored 7 last week against Norwich, we are the only team slightly better than Norwich, and we're not that much better. So goodness.
Yeah, I think Norwich. We've got Norwich coming up soon, so we'll make it our first win there. You never know, but I've just got a feeling about.
I do think that's when. I don't think we'll win this weekend, but I do think Norwich on that Tuesday night will be the one.
But didn't we bring in your neggy vibes into the ground, by the way? Right?
Oh no, I wouldn't. No,
right?
Truth, I don't think we'll get absolutely hammered, but I don't think we'll win. We might get a point. I don't know, but I'm not feeling as nervous or as negative. I oh God, I can't be asked to go. It's going to be shit. I would have been a few weeks ago. I am looking forward to it.
Yeah. No, I think
it's harsh,
obviously well, the War Flags is going to do. They've got the massive big surfer out. I think the atmosphere is just going to be absolutely electric, and I think unlike the Tottenham game, I think it was such a high, and then the life was sucked out of it, and I think
it's going to be possibly a better atmosphere because everything we wanted is now there. takeover, no Ashley, no Bruce. So I do think it's going to be better.
Yeah, yeah. Laura, there's a couple of requests about your straw. Like, can we just see the size of that glass that you're drinking out of, please?
Right, well, thanks for bringing that up, Geordie Toon fan. I've had a bit of a mare because the only Moretti I've got is the absolutely massive ones, and my straw doesn't fit in it, right? I know. So my straw wouldn't fit, so I've had to pour it in a glass, and now it's gone really flat, and I'm just having a bit of a mare with the drink. So thanks for bringing that alive.
Oh, Marty, sorry. You can slap me hands later, Marty. Even and all, Marty. Always a man with good, not morals. What's the word?
Manners.
Good manners. Right. Okay. So, yeah. So I'm gonna go with the Newcastle win. I'm gonna go 2-0 because I think maybe it's the honey rum kicking in, but I'm just gonna.
So not even 2-1. You think clean sheet?
I'm gonna go clean sheet. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Clean sheet. Why not? I'm
not?
becoming a godfather tomorrow.
I think Vicky's put something in your drink.
Tomorrow is a good. Yeah, I think she may have done. It'll help us sleep well. So, I'll have a few decongestant tablets tonight. And I'll be absolutely off my rocker. Right. So, the main topic, which a few people have already started commenting on, which I really, really appreciate, and like I said, loads of comments on Twitter. In particular, Rich and Tom, and some really good ones on Instagram as well, which we'll try and come to. So, over the years, I'm sure we've seen many, many horror shows, individual performances that have been absolutely terrible, and some notable team performances under some notable or denotable managers.
So not unnotable, no?
I can't think of the word. I couldn't think of the word. Anyway, so today's topic on Twitter was Hawaii horrors. And we had some absolute brilliant shouts. There was one thread that came through all of them, which we've mentioned before. One of Laura's favourite defenders, Kasaba. Laura, fresh from rewatching the highlights rewatching that game. Take it away.
Oh man,
this was by far. I probably should have ended with this one, but it's so obvious that we just had to go with it. So Laura, the most mentioned one was Kasaba. So can you take us back to that beautiful day against Portsmouth?
Basically, no, because I can't remember it. So 10 minutes before the podcast, I just watched the highlights, and it was a 2-minute YouTube video, and yeah, it didn't actually, obviously, because it was just highlights, it didn't magnify, if that's the right word. I don't think it is. Kasapa's absolute mare, but everyone's mentioned how much he had a mare. And he did we were 3-0 down in 11 minutes. But have you seen the goals?
Yeah.
Can you remember them, or did you have to Google
I had
them?
like a vague recollection. There was a lot of it was power and it was pace. Mm-hmm. Neither of which Kasapa had at the time.
They were all brilliant goals.
Whether he had it, 5-6 years before he signed for it is debatable. But
yeah,
he came with a good pedigree though. That was the thing. He came from.
Where
Lyon.
Did he come from? Lyon.
I think he signed from Lyon. I think he'd won
I assumed that was maybe his debut, but it wasn't. So was he good leading up to it, or no, right? No. But that just was his worst.
He was like a Sam Allardyce. Sam Allardyce was trying to do what he'd done at Bolton and bring these like not old timers, but like these players who'd obviously had a massive pedigree in Europe and try to bring them in. And he came into a club that was completely different to Bolton Wanderers, and it just wasn't working, and it just didn't work. And then. I mean, he was replaced by Rosenal, who was another absolutely terrible signing,
On 17 minutes.
17 minutes.
And then he came out and blamed a hamstring, apparently, when I've read all the stuff.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure how many games he played after that performance, but I imagine it was very, very few. So that was, by a huge margin, top of the list. And a particular mention, obviously for Rich, he gave us a really good...
Yes, because according to him, it wasn't Kasapa. It was actually, in fact, Jeremy. So if you haven't, anyone watching who hasn't seen that thread from Rich, who decided to go on a massive
rant.
It was a rant. He's got COVID. We'll let him off. He's in the house on his own.
Has he got COVID?
Yeah, so he's
Rich.
he's
Sending you.
drowning. He's drowning his sorrows. Shall I mention the thread? Will I bring it up?
That's right, because Tom as well. Tom, another contributor to this thread, had said that he bigged up the Toon. This was the first time he was taking this.
I love Tom's story. Came from Vienna.
Yeah, he came from Vienna, and he was telling his lass all about Ginola and Aspria and the history of Newcastle United. I imagine he was really pumped up, probably like the first time anybody's ever taken.
Sorry to interrupt, I don't mean to be Bruce, but
No.
He came from Vienna, had to flew to Bradford, had to drive from Bradford to Newcastle, and then was telling he's
given her the spiel all the way up, and then that was the game that she had to witness, and she gave him the death stare, which I think we've all had in some capacity.
They're still married though.
Yeah, exactly. Happily
11
married.
years.
11
the only
years.
downside is she now supports Liverpool, which isn't that great.
Still going strong.
But, I found Rich's. So Rich completely drew us in. Was like, oh, I've got one relatively recent. Don't know how he thinks 14 years is recent, because I don't. But he said it was Ashley's first season. Him and the lads had packed his tickets in, decided to go to just selected matches, took this one. About 10 minutes in, we were 3-0 down. Was actually 11 minutes in, Rich, but you know.
What's a minute between friends?
Yeah, but I like to specify how many things he got wrong. Yeah. So then he was, all his mates wanted to leave. He was bigging it up, and he said that the architect, his wording is fantastic. The architect of this abysmal showing was none other than Jeremy, who not only had the worst game of his career, but also the worst game of any player appertaining to be a centre-half in the history of centre-halves. And previous to this, I obviously can't remember it, and people had mentioned Casapa, and I just thought Rich had a difference in opinion. And it wasn't until everyone was like, no, Rich, it was Casapa, and he got it completely and utterly wrong.
To be fair, COVID can do strange things to your mind and your memory. So we've got to let him off with that. But yeah, I think that Portsmouth game has been banished. And I think, Casapa, he did come with a bit of pedigree. I think, being capped by Brazil. He captained Lyon to several titles in France. But Brazilians after Mirandina.
I was just going to mention Mirandina.
I think that's probably it's probably on Rich. Don't make a. Is that a count?
Ooh, I think Count Dracula. Yeah, Halloween.
Oh yeah, because it's Halloween. Yeah, sorry, Rich, we won't make a count of you too much, right? So so that was the biggest one that we got, the biggest response. I'll just go through a couple, Laura, and then I'll come back to you for one of yours. A lot of people mentioned Debussy. We got beat 6-0, but he got sent off, so he had a personal nightmare. Riviere against Bournemouth. I can see that Laura's like Riviere.
No, I do not Emmanuel Riviere. I don't know him. I just don't know which game he was shit on.
Well, it was towards the end of the McLaren era,
right?
And apparently banged on the manager's door wanting a game, and he lasted about 45 minutes and barely lifted a leg. Absolutely terrible.
Against who? Can you remember?
Bournemouth. We got beat 3-1 to him. I think that might have been McLaren's last game in charge, possibly.
Did Richie and Wilson score? Or?
Probably, probably Fraser, Wilson.
All them.
Yeah. A couple from Instagram, which are really good, that probably go back to my era.
I read them comments and I couldn't remember.
Paul from Instagram there was a game against Partizan Belgrade that we played. I believe we lost on penalties, and it was to qualify for the group stage of the Champions League. And I think we'd been in the Champions League the previous season, and then we'd had a good season, and it was just like the life was just sucked out of the ground because we lost. I think it was on penalties. I do believe it was on penalties. A game that I remember, but for slightly different reasons, was we played. This is from the Salford Mag, again on Instagram, and that was against Inter Milan at home. And we got beat 4-1. Solano scored, so you got to get a mention for Solano. But Bellamy was sent off very, very early on in the game, and he kind of fell for the old tricks from, I think it was Marco Materazzi, and he got sent off, I think, for headbutting his chest, or he did something stupid, as Craig Bellamy was prone to do from time to time. And then we got an absolute schooling, like a real European schooling, just sucked the life out of us. So thank you very much to the Salford Mag for bringing those depressing memories back. But I do remember Alvaro Recoba for Inter Milan came on and scored an absolute worldie. If you ever get the chance to look at this goal, curled it with his left foot, banging the top corner of the Leazer's end. It was a thing of beauty, absolute beauty. And as well, I got to see Fabio Cannavaro play for Inter Milan, which is, he was a master at work. Another one, John Allen Boomsong, obviously famous signing.
Wow.
There was pretty much a lot of people said every single game that he played. But mine in particular was we played Manchester United and we got beat 2-0 and both goals were his fault. Diving in, missed the ball that was cut across by Rooney and a tap in for Ruud van Nistelrooy. He had an absolute mare. I remember he played Yedding and he had a mare, so he had a few nightmares.
I actually remember that one.
Yeah, Laura, I'll come to you. I've got a couple more, but they're on a slightly different direction. So have you got a couple that come to mind for you?
I've got one from my dad and a few for me personally. So my dad, who I said when I was asking him about it, a few of the viewers might remember it was 1969. And
yes, I remember it well.
Yes, can you remember? He said, you might not want to mention it. And I was like, no. And then he said, it was the first time I cried. And I was like, well, no, I'm definitely going to mention that then.
Wow.
We were playing Anderlecht in the Fairs Cup and they were winning 2-0 from the first leg. So then it came to St. James's and apparently we were winning. And everyone was buzzing. Who scored? He said somebody scored, and I haven't wrote it down. He'll shout at us. Somebody scored, and in the 85th minute, everyone was buzzing, jumping up and down to make it 3-0, I think. And then they went up the pitch and scored an away goal, so they got knocked out of the Fairs Cup. And he cried, and he was only 9. But then they won it the year after, apparently. So
yeah,
it's fine. But yeah, so
it all ended happily. Actually, thinking of games where you cried. Sorry to jump in. When Shearer and sorry, when Shearer and Ferguson were both dropped we played Sunderland at home in the monsoon, and I had a ticket at the time. My season ticket was in the Milburn stand.
Hold on, sorry. In the what? In the monsoon? What's that?
It was a monsoon.
What, like a storm?
Oh, it was absolutely insane. There's absolutely no way that game should have been played. So at the time,
that rings a bell. Actually, sorry.
It was Ruud Gullit's last game in charge, and they were just taking the roof off the Leazer's end in the Milburn, so there was no roof. So we all got issued with Pacamax. It was horrendous. Wow. Thanks, Freddie Shepherd, and it absolutely pissed it down all game. Puddles all over the pitch. We took the lead, I think, Kieran Dyer, and then Sunderland scored 2 goals, and it was just.
Is that when Shearer and Gullit fell out?
Yeah, that was the straw that brought the camel's back. But I remember my dad, as we've discussed previously, my father is a Sunderland fan. He's from not Fulwell, Farringdon in Sunderland. And I remember my dad's never really been that sort of, he goes to the games, but he's not very partisan. But I remember getting home. Well, I left the ground, and where the burger van is behind the Gallagher. And I took off I was absolutely soaked, like a drowned rat. Took off my scarf, hid it in the bin, and got home, sat on the bus, absolutely misery. Got in the house, and my dad was just sitting there in the living room.
Enjoy
the game, son. I was like, I'm going to bed. Smug. Yeah, that was an absolute nightmare.
Well, that's come back to you.
Oh, it was horrific, absolutely horrific. I'm sure there's many fans that remember that one. Laura, go on, carry on with the couple of yours, please.
No, so that was my dad. So mine, there's a few. I've got a few. Obviously, I don't know if people know, but I got a season ticket just as Pardew started to be shit. So I've got loads of nightmares. So loads of people on Twitter and Instagram and stuff were saying Brighton 3-0 last season, but we weren't there because of obviously COVID. So, but it's the 0-0 against Brighton when Rafa was in charge. And
we talked about this. Yeah, we talked about this last week.
Sorry to put it down on Rafa because I love him, but wow, what a snooze fest! It was horrific, and that lives in my memory as being one of the worst games. Yeah. Then I put Southampton, the first game this season where we were winning, and then we had a nightmare. We actually physically had a nightmare and absolutely switched off and give a penalty away in the 96th minute, and it was just a kind of sense of first game of the season at home, Bruce is still in charge. Takeover apparently dead. Start of a nightmare season. So I wrote that down because obviously, thank God, things have changed. But then also my first derby game was the 3-0 when Colback even scored in Barino.
Was that Poyet or was it Di Canio?
I think it was the Di Canio knee slide. Correct us if I'm wrong, but I'm sure that was my first derby game. And then I only had one more derby game where before they got relegated, and they even won that with Johnson in the 90th minute. So both my derby games that I've only been to 2, and they were both absolute nightmares.
I suppose.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
So, but to finish on a positive, somebody did tweet and say that we can't mention Halloween without the Halloween 5-1 derby, which I wasn't there. I was in Mood. Whoop, whoop. Remember Mood in the gate?
Oh, Mood.
Yep, loved it.
Yes.
So we were in Mood and pints were flying, and so I wasn't there, but it wasn't a nightmare for us, but yes, a nightmare.
Yeah, that has definitely got to get an honourable mention for that was a nightmare for Steve Bruce, obviously. And I think I was up in the family. I think I had a season ticket up level 7, and me and Danny just went absolutely akabusi. That was a great
Danny Carboni.
Danny Carboni.
Oh,
Danny Lasagna. Yeah, that was a great night. David Sharp on a slightly different tilt. He's gone for Woodgate's debut for Real Madrid, which was a horror show. Own goal and a red card. Yeah. Definitely honourable mention for him. A lot of the mentions were for away games as well. So there was Wigan in particular caused a lot of ire. That was I think under Souness, that was a horrific game. I think Ryan Taylor might have scored against it. And Brighton away last season, that was the game where we all thought Bruce was going to go, and I think that was the point where we thought the players had just sacked it off.
December time?
I think so, yeah.
Because was that not when Decker put 50 quid on Bruce being the next manager to go?
Yeah. Money well spent, Decker. Well done there. So those games, away games, I'm sure there's plenty of away games. I mean, we could probably talk all night about nightmare situations at Newcastle, players and individual games. A couple that I thought of that weren't players, weren't teams, but referees. There's a really famous one, Uriah Rennie, first game of the season. Alan Shearer got sent off.
Yes, my memory is shocking, absolutely shocking. But when you just remember little weird memories, that sticks in my mind as a total memory. Do you know what year it was to guess how old I was?
It was 2000 I'm going to go 2000 maybe.
Wow, so I was only 11. So, but it really sticks in me. I was in Tenerife, and we were in the hotel lobby, and we were watching the games, and we were with a bunch of Villa fans, and even they said he shouldn't have been sent off there, and that just always sticks in my mind, and I'll never forget where I was. I'm glad you mentioned that, actually. Yeah,
terrific. And then shout out to Raza, who's hopefully he'll rejoin us as a guest in a couple of weeks' time. Keith Stroud's performance in the Championship as a referee when we played Burton. Can you remember that game?
Well, don't tell us. I'm going to guess. Is it the penalty incident when
the what? The what incident?
Oh, bollocks!
Yes, you walked into that one. Go on, Chris Waddle. The what? The penalty.
The penalty
incident. Yeah.
Right. Right, go on.
Yeah. So hopefully people remember. Bizarrely, because Dwight Gale encroached in the 18-yard box before the penalty was taken, the referee then gave them an indirect free kick.
Richie taking the penalty.
And Richie, that was peak. That was, I mean, this is saying something, but that was the angriest I've ever seen Matt Ritchie. Easily. I mean, absolutely incredible. That was a total shambles, absolute shambles. Dan, the first half versus Arsenal, absolute horror show, horrific, horrible game, but with a happy end. And then yes, Walcott, he used to have good games against us when he played for Arsenal, and Tom agrees that shambles of a penalty and the whole incident that followed it was an absolute disgrace. I think we've had our fair share of terrible performances. Let's go back into the ages. Marty's got us one from 1977 in the UEFA Cup. Late getting home from work, so you got the ground 10 minutes early, only to find we were already 2-0 down. So respect to you, Marty, for sticking with it after all these years, and hopefully there'll be better days ahead. We might see some more European football. Who knows? Thanks everybody. I think that's. Have you got any more, Laura? I think that's about mine. All of mine kind of done.
I think
I'm sure
the
only
one I can remember, and it's just for different reasons, was New Year's Day against Leicester a couple of seasons ago. I think it was Rafa actually, and I was gutted because it was like the first time I had a season ticket at home where we had a game on New Year's Day at home, and
right.
I like to go local for a drink, and I was like, oh, I've got to go to the game, and it was so cold. And I just remember being absolutely numb. We got beat 3-0. And then even after the game, I was so cold, I couldn't even hold my pint. So I had to go home. And that sticks in my mind.
Yeah, for all many wrong reasons, reasons. Yeah, so, I mean, we'll probably carry on the hashtag for a little bit longer. So if you want to add on to the thread from myself or Laura's Twitter account, please take us down horrific memory lane. Help us on New Year's. Help us on Halloween. New Year's. Well, it's a new beginning. It's a new dawn for us. The 96 Charity Shield, another one, humiliated. And then obviously, you know, we got a bit of revenge in October of the same season. Marty's 1969 against Rangers, he invaded the pitch, and he was the only time he was ever scared at the match.
Yes, I think my dad was there as well.
You know what we should do? We should get Marty
and my dad. Yeah.
Marty and Mal to do a show. That's what we need. So Marty, we'll put you in touch with Mal and build up a bit of a a relationship, and then we'll get you on in a.
Were you going to say repertoire and realised you couldn't pronounce it?
Aye. It's the honey rum, man. What can I say? It's the honey rum. Anyway, we're losing viewers, so we'll best move on, I think. So, yeah, some really horrific experiences. Yep, the 2005 semi in Cardiff against Man United, absolutely horrific. Marty's camera shy.
Oh.
It's not what I've heard, Marty. Funny lad. No, so thank you to everybody who's given some of those excellent, horrific memories, some really bad ones, but some real. I think it's good to look back in these times, because then you realise the position that we could be in very, very soon.
I was just going to say, it's all right to look at them now, because we've kind of got a little bit of optimism.
I mean, who knows? We could have another one add to the list tomorrow. Who knows? But I'm feeling positive. So, Laura, I think that's us done for this evening. I think we've kept it pretty short and sweet this week. We haven't gone down any pronunciation for Bagsies and Bogsies.
Bogsy. We're both Bogsy.
Yeah, I'm a Bogsy. Bogsy Fogs.
I've never heard that one.
I like first go. His first go. Mark will back us up on that one. So, thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. Really appreciate you following, liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends, sharing with your neighbours. Definitely Bogsies. See, Tom says it's Bogsy.
Thanks, Tom.
And he's gone Bogsy Fogs as well, so it must be true. If Tom says it, it must be true.
Tom says, yeah.
Once again, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Hopefully tomorrow we're going to get a good result. I'm going to go 2-0. Laura, what was your prediction for the Chelsea game tomorrow?
I'm going to 1-1.
We're going to go ones each. We'll take a ones each, but we need a win, really. We've got some tough games coming up. I think, we get a positive result against Chelsea, and I think the Brighton game doesn't look as hard, because, they could be just on a bit of a crest of the wave at the start of the season, and maybe we can, they'd be expected. They'd be big favourites against us. So we can go into it. Hopefully with another full week of training. Hey, who knows?
Wow. 5 days. It's like they've got a full-time job. Christ.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy. Thanks for joining us on the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. Remember to like and subscribe, like I said before. Stay alert, everybody. Look after yourselves. And thank you very much to everybody who contributed this evening, and those people who join us later to watch the show later on. Really appreciate it. Stay tuned with lots more content from Gallagher Shots. Obviously, we've got the United States. We've got the Always Smiling Faces podcast as well. We've got various things coming up in the pipeline as well. So stay tuned, stay alert, always. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you, Laura, for joining us again.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much, and good night. And how are the lads? 2-0. Let's win. See you later. Let's wave. Come on, wave, Laura. Wave, Pete. Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye.